Hi, today we're going to integrate Flux AI, the open source AI model to create stunning images of flying bananas with eyes, as you can see right here, inside of Toddle. We're going to build an AI image generator inside of Toddle. And we're not going to use Replicate AI. We're going to use something that's 100 times better. It's called Hyperbolic.xyz. And why is it 100 times better? Because it is owned by a friend of mine. So, sorry, it's not advertisement, but I'm maybe a little bit biased about this tool because it's it's made by my friends, but I'm not getting paid to talk about this. As you can see, they only gave me $10 in credits. So yeah, so I just like the tool and it's rather cheap, and so this is why I use that. So here we go. So what we want to do is we want to kind of like make an image generator like their UI here, but inside of Toddle. And they have an API that they expose to us that lets us do that. And it's super simple. So because we don't want to connect it directly to the front end, because we don't want to expose our API key, we want to go to the backend, and for our backend, we're going to use Xano to wrap it. Now, I should say you probably need to add authentication into it so that the endpoint requests are authenticated, because if users use your API, they may be able to just, use that API without being authenticated, and then they can use it 100 times, 200 times, thousands of times, and for free. So you want to add additional protection inside of your API calls. That is very important. But in this video, we're not going to show you how to do that. But if you want to learn how to add this additional protection, this is what we do at NoCodeProCode.com daily at our office hours. So if you want to, get that additional authentication, login guard, track how much they do, sell them credits, charge that using Lemon Squeezy that is tax compliant, and do all that things attached to it, we do that every day at office hours. But let's go in here and let's start building a beautiful UI. So I want to go to the main div block here, and I want to go to the background color, and I'll just make this white because I'm a fan of light mode. And here we have it already centered. So I just go in here and I add a form, because at the end it's just a form submission. And we make this width 25 rem, and we can give this a minimum height of 25 rem for now. And then I'm just going to go to the background colors. We make this gray 50, and I add a border, and we can make the border gray 200, and we add a border radius of 15 pixels, and I give this a padding on both sides of 1 rem and a padding of top to bottom of 1 rem as well. And actually maybe 0.5 rem looks better. So let's do 0.5 rem. Here we go. So now inside of here, I want to add an image. And now I have my image in here. And I also want to add like a text area where I can put my prompt in here. So now for the text area, I need to apply some styling. We want to make this width 100%, and we want to do height 100%. Or maybe we want to do height 25 rem, or maybe 10 rem. Yeah, that looks good. I don't think you have that long of a prompt, but maybe 10 rem is good. I know people are very sensitive when it comes to the prompt details. I like to do a lot of things in there. And then we just add a button so that we can submit the form. The button should have a width of 100%. So now, as you can see, they kind of like all kiss each other. They're all very close to each other. So we go on the form, on the parent, holding all of those elements, and we want to go to the section here and give it a gap of 0.5 rem. And now I want to go to the image, and I want to make the border, for example, 8 pixels. Here we go. And I want to make the border 8 pixels on the input, and I want to make the border 8 pixels on the button so that we have like a unified radius system. And then in here, the text area, we want to make the background probably white so that it highlights a little bit. And then I can add a border radius of grade 200 so it highlights so that we can see it. And right now it's resizable, which kind of like allows us to do this funky stuff. So what we want to do is we want to go on the text area and we want to go on attributes, and we click on the plus and we add a style attribute for resize none. Here we go. And now we can't resize it. Boom. And now I have that in here. And now I want to say maybe enter your prompt. So I can go here in the placeholder attribute and I can make this enter your prompt, just like that. Enter your prompt. And now it says enter your prompt, just like that. And then I have my button in here. That button should be dark. So let's make this gray 700. Gray 700, maybe gray 800. Oh yeah, it needs to be gray 800. And let's make this centered. Let's give this a top and bottom padding of 0.75 rem, just like that. And the font size should be 14. And the color should be gray 50. And the text should be generate image. And I want to add like a nice icon in there. So I go to Relume icons. I really like Relume icons. I think it's great. And I add like Spark. Spark. That looks like magic. That looks like AI. So I copy that one. Copy for Figma. Paste it in here. Looks beautiful. And now I'm going to go on the flex, make this aligned on the side. And I want to add a gap of 0.35 rem so that they don't touch each other. And maybe I want to go to the SVG and I want to go to attributes and make the size 20. Yeah, that looks way better. Here we go. And we have a 20. So now we have the button to generate the image. Beautiful. And I actually want to wrap this in a div block with the generate image and the SVG. And I need to go in here and then I need to make this also go on the side and give it 0.35 rem gap. Because the idea is I want this shown when the image is, you know, not generated yet. And when it's generating, I want to add a loader. So I'm going to add a div block in here that will then also contain a loader that will have the visibility hidden based on if the API request is loading or not. So let's look for CSS loader. And now I can go to CSS loaders. Okay, that's the wrong one. We don't want to go to NPM. This is where it gets a little bit dangerous with all the code. But I want to go in here and I want to go to CSS loaders. This looks good. Or maybe not that one. Let's go to this one. Here we go. That one looks nice. So let's copy. How about we take the CSS loader and I just copy the HTML and I go in this div block, paste it in here, and then I add a style tag in here and I can add some custom CSS in here. And now I would copy the custom CSS, go back to Toddle and put it in the style tag, and now I will have my loader. Now that loader should have a width of 24 pixels, or actually no, 20. It needs to be the same one as the icon, so 20 by 20. And then the line is pretty fat. So let's make this, where do we have the line? Border 5 pixels, that needs to be 2. Here we go. So now we got nice loader. So I want this now visible if it is loading and then the other one. So you get the idea. So we have like loader in there to indicate that the image is currently generating so that the user doesn't click it a billion times. And then we also probably want to work with a disable attribute that will not allow submitting the form 1,000 times. But we're going to do that later when we start, into the API part. But now we got the UI all done. And maybe I want to know, like, for example, if the image is empty, I may want to have like a placeholder saying this image is empty. Or what I could think of is maybe we want to have that image condensed and then we have it like fade in or something. So I want to see if we can make like a nice UI, but I think we may get a little bit over ourselves right now. We want to probably start with a simple solution and then build onto that and extend on top of that. So now how about we go to Hyperbolic and we just, already have Flux open, but let me show you how you can go to Flux. You go to models, and inside of models, you will see image generation, and you have all those different models that you can choose from. So what you can do if you want to use Flux, you just click on Flux, you type in a sample prompt like flying banana with eyes and mustache. Oh, is that how you, oh, no. Flying banana with eyes and mustache. It's probably going to look like Mr. Potato Head, but let's look at that. It's loading. I'm afraid. Oh, it looks kind of cute, to be honest. It looks a little bit. I mean, that thing's probably hunting me in my nightmares, but it looks cute. It looks cute a little bit. Look at that. Yeah, he couldn't do anybody anything. So let's look at API. So we click on API on the top right corner, and now we get the code. And we want to go to the curl command. So now I want to copy that curl, and now we need to wrap this. We need to proxy it on our backend because it contains something very valuable, our API key. And we don't want to expose it on our front end in Toddle. We could run this in Toddle, but why the heck should I expose my API key on the front end to my user so that they can use it with my credit card kind of like tied to it? That wouldn't be smart. So let's add an API group in Toddle. And again, I'm showing you a safer option today. This is not the safest option because people will still be able to call your API. They will not be able to get your API key, but they will still be able to call your API. If you monetize this, you probably want to charge them per generations. So you need additional locks in between. And this is what we talk about all the time at office hours, how to monetize it. And more importantly, how you can monetize this and don't have to worry about global tax. We help you. We have templates for Lemon Squeezy, for Paddle, for Fast Spring. I use them and all of that. So, this is how you can take the payments and then you can create membership accounts and then you can, give them like credits and then take away credits. And then if they have insufficient credits, you build a cart or, like if they don't have enough credits, you show pop-up, buy more credits for $15 and so on. So we do this at office hours. But I just want to give you the idea here how to do that. And if you want to join office hours, the link is in the video description, as always. But now let's call this image generator underscore simple. Because this is for YouTube videos, so it's simple. Image generator simple. We save this and we add the API endpoint and we add a custom endpoint that will be a post because we're posting data. This is how most of the AI APIs work, and we call this generate. And we save this. And now in here, I have my input and I add a text input of prompt. I add that input. I go to my function and now I'm going to look for API call and I will go to external API request. I go to import curl and I paste the curl command that I found at Hyperbolic in here in the curl tab on the API section inside of Xano. And I go on import and I have my API settings configured right in here. And we want to go to the timeout section and we want to update the timeout. What we can do is we probably want to do a timeout of 120 seconds. So let's make a timeout of 120 seconds. so that in case the API takes longer, you know, we will have that. But actually, now that I think about it, since we don't work with WebSockets, we probably want to do 27 seconds, so we don't have a browser timeout. That may be smart for this case. So now we would load this. Let's just let this load. I want to see how long this API takes to normally generate the image. Oh yeah, it's 10 seconds, so we're good. We're good. And it gives us the image as base 64. Interesting. We got to do some work with the image, to say the least. As this is a terrific API. But actually, I think maybe it is going to save us a lot of storage. So we'll see. We'll see. So we got the API response here, and let's just go at the API request again. I have my steps, and I got the configuration. We have a timeout of 27 seconds, so we don't get browser timeouts. What I want to do is I want to go to the prompt part of the API, and I want to replace this with the input of prompt, so that we can, you know, dynamically proxy this with our API that kind of like safeguards everything. So I have that. And now when I type in here, banana with ice, here we go. I would run this, and now I would get my API response back of a banana with ice. Let this load. And now we look at the response. It only took 8 seconds, and I get base 64. So I want to copy this response here, and I want to add a function to create a variable. And I'm going to go here, and I call this base 64 underscore image. And then we, oops, no, I don't want to do it. No, I don't want that. Oops, remove. We go to API 1, add subpath, paste this in here that we copied, and I expand the response, and I expand the result, and I go expand images, and I expand, and I click on image. And then I save, and then we can add a stop and debug. I can do stop and debug, and I can go to base 64 image, and I publish this, publish. And then when I return this and the API loads and generates my image, I will now only return in the stop and debug. It's not the final return yet, right? This is just for debugging purposes. It will return me the base 64. So now we can go to a website saying base 64 image viewer, right? And I'll be able to go to one of those sketchy websites and paste my base 64. And I will probably need to do image PNG, and then I need to do base 64, and I go in here. So we get the syntax of that thing, and then we see our, that's cute. You know what? I gotta save this. This will be my thumbnail. Open image in new tab. That thing is just cute. Look at that. Cute. I gotta, I think that's pretty cute. Look at that with a little mouth, and it's cute. So, but we can render this now on the front end. So what we would normally do, if that is okay for you, I think we can just maybe display it as base 64, because the downside is if we would get this, like as binary data or something, we would normally just, save it into our Xano URL. So we would just add it to our Xano database and store the image, which is cool, but it has one big downside. It costs money. And money is always something. So I want to do two approaches. I want to do one approach showing you how we can show this as base 64 in the image on the front end without having to pay for storage and not exceeding our limits on Xano, because every time you create a CDN link, this costs money and it takes storage, right? And I think you only get like 10 gigabytes in Xano anyway. So I want to show you using the base 64 principle, how to do that, and then for free. And then I want to give you also the other option, how you can store this on Xano. If you want to do like a history, if you want to store that in a database, I'm going to show you that as well. But right now, let's go with the free option, and then we do the paid option kind of like. So let's go to Xano, and we just hide the stop and debug, and we go to the response, and we just respond with the base64 image. So we can now display this gibberish as an image on the front end, believe it or not. So we copy the endpoint URL, we go to Toddle, and I click outside of the canvas, I go to APIs, and let's call this generate. Auto fetch is dangerous if you work with AI APIs, let me tell you that. We just have it on for debugging. Kids, don't do this at home. Because it's going to run the whole time. So let's just turn it off for now. And I do prompt. And now I need to go and, I will type my prompt in here. But how do we access the prompt in here? Let's create a variable. A variable is a way how we can store data. And we call this prompt, right? And we start it empty. And I go to my text area, and I go to attributes, and I go to bind to variable, and I bind it to the prompt variable. So now when I type in here, cartoon, maybe I want to go in here, and maybe I want to go to text color and make the text color gray 700. Cartoon monkey eating a banana with ice and sunglasses. Okay, so what do we have here? We have cartoon monkey eating a banana with eyes and sunglasses. And now if I go at my prompt, it will say cartoon monkey eating, it should be an banana. And banana. So cartoon monkey eating a banana with eyes and sunglasses. So we have this variable. So now I can go to my API, and I go to my prompt part in the query, and I go to fx, and I click on here, and I map it to the prompt variable. So now when I go to my API and I click on auto fetch, just to run this API, it will, we got to make this a post because it's a post request. That was my mistake. Let's click on auto fetch just to run it. Now it's loading. We see it's loading true. Now we would show the spinner. If that is true, it's loading. May take a few seconds. And now here we got our data response. So what we can do is let's just render the image real quick that we got our data responded. So that is working. I go to attributes and I go to source, right? And what I'm going to do is I go to fx and I use concat. And in concat, we know we're going to get PNG back. So I will go to my random sketchy website and copy this data : image / PNG : base64, comma. I will paste this in here, boom, and I add a comma, and I go to my generate API data, and now I have my monkey in here. And this is not stored on the backend, so this is free. We can display the monkey immediately without having to store it on the backend. This will then be sent immediately to the front end. Now, is this making our front end a little bit heavy? Potentially. Is this best practices? Not really, but it's one way of doing it for free. So let's just continue. And you see how slow my Toddle is when I click on that image because it's very heavy. It's very heavy. But it's one way of doing it. And I'm so sorry for the banana with eyes that's going to be eaten. Sorry. But the monkey looks happy, and that's all that counts. So let's go in here, and we see this loading spinner. Let's just, first go on the form real quick. And on the form event, on submit, let's go to form, submit. On submit, we want to run the generate API. Boom. And then we want to go to the generate API real quick, and we want to remove auto fetch. Here we go. And now we also want to remove ideally like the height of this whole thing. Beautiful. So now we have that. This is working great. I want to go to my loader, and I go to attributes, I go to show, and I need to base the show on generate is loading, and if it is false, it will not show. And then I have this generate image, we don't want to show it when it is loading. So I go on show, I go to generate, I go to is loading. And then since I want to show this if it's not loading, I just add a not to reverse the logic. So now when I click on here, it is loading. And then once it finished loading, it should set the source, because the source is tied to the formula and that's fully reactive, to the response that we got from the API. So we're now going here. I said banana with eyes, and let's do even more. Cute banana with eyes. And now I generate it, and now I should receive a cute banana with eyes. I can't wait to see a cute banana with eyes. Here we go. Oh, that's a cute banana with eyes. Look at that banana. Here we go. So that's cute. So now we can also say a cute monkey with eyes. Oh no. Okay, let's try this. Let's try this. And I think I may hit my rate limits. What does it say? Unable. Yeah, I hit my rate limits. I thought we used to be friends, Jasper. Did I already went through all my credits? Oh no, I'm still at $10. Oh, I think we're still friends. I think maybe your API broke. Let's run this again. Let's see. Okay, looks good on my side here. I think it may be something. I may reach like a. Okay, it still looks good here. So let's see what could be the issue. We pass on the prompt, right? So maybe it was like a timing issue. Yeah, it seemed like I was maybe there was some downside real quick. But it seems all good now. It's generating a cute monkey with eyes. Oh shit, it's like cute money with eyes. No, it should be monkey. But it's cute. Cute monkey with eyes. Here we go. Now it's loading. I think I hit a rate limit. Error fatal. We may want to add like error logging in saying try again in 30 seconds. You hit your rate limit. Let's load this again. Now it's loading. Yeah, I think we have rate limits here. Here we go. Let's load this. And I think the experience so far is pretty amazing. And now we got a cute monkey with eyes. Oh, cute eyes. Look at that. So we got that working. Now, I actually are tempted to move the image outside of the form. Ooh. And go to the image and make it with 25 rem. And go outside of the form, and I add a padding of 0.5 rem. So it's outside of the form. So this will look like this. I will have my prompt in here, and I can add banana with eyes, and I generate, and now it's generating. I have my generation process, and then over here the image will pop up after the generation is done. Oh, ugh. Yikes. Ugh. That's just, I think it may be the border radius that makes it look creepy. I think it's the border radius. Can we add an outline here? Yeah, we gotta add a nice outline. Let's make an outline of gray 300. Yeah, that makes it already look better. Gray 200. Here we go. So let's try again. Oh, maybe no border, because that may just ruin the whole aesthetic. None. Okay, here we go. Let's load this again. And here we go. We can say banana with ice. Here we go. And I will generate this. It's loading. And then after it finished, we should see the image. I'll be having nightmares of that banana today. Like it's like 2 and like cute banana with eyes. Please. This is a family-friendly YouTube channel. We don't want to have nightmares. So let's reload. Oh, that's cute. That's cute. It's very pixely, but it's cute. Let's reload. Rate limit. Let's wait 5 seconds. Try again. I don't like the rate limits. I still have my credits, right? Let's look at my credits. Yep, still $10. I think that $10 will never go away. I have a feeling. Let's reload. Here we go. That's a cute banana. Here we go. So it's working beautifully. Now, I gave you also the option to have those stored on the cloud, because right now it's just the API sending them to the client side, and it's also unprotected because everybody can just call that without, there is no paywall in front of that. People can just go on the website and generate it for free, and you would probably authenticate that. Now for the authentication part, this is something that we do in office hours basically every day. So if you want help with that, feel free to join office hours at nocodeproco.com. I'm happy to help with that. But what I want to do is I still want to provide a solution that comes and is stored in the database, in the backend, so that you can see what kind of creepy stuff your users are generating. So let's do this. So we got base64 here. And we want to, first of all, decode the base64. So we get binary data. So what we want to do is we actually create a new variable, and we call this binary. Here we go. And we go to the value, and we take the base64 image, and I do I type in base64 decode. I update this, and now I go to my binary, to my stop and debug and return binary. Now we're going to make the API call, we're going to create the bananas, and we're going to get some random gibberish back. Here we go. That's what we want. And now from this, I can go to create file resource, and I will create a file resource. I need to add a file name. I can call this image.png. And the dot needs to be the real image extension. You can also make this dynamic, but I'll just do image.png. And the file data will be the binary data. And then, oops, I think Xano has a bug. I want to return this as file underscore resource. File resource. And I go to my stop and debug, and I want to look at the file resource. We should get like a short string that is like a short JSON string. Now it should look like a cookie or an auth token. Yeah, that's what we want. The UI that shows it's the correct one. And now we can take this and turn this into image metadata. So we go to create image metadata. We take the value, that's the file resource, and we call this image metadata. We save this, we publish, and we look at the stop and debug, and I go to image metadata, I save, I run this again, and now we will return the image metadata. That is the image. And now then from there we will be able to create the image link that then can render the image. So we see the path in our vault. If we copy the path, and let's just copy the Xano tab, duplicate, I want to show you how we can access that. Now I have my Xano URL. I just removed the workspace stuff. I would paste this. Oops. Xano has this issue with pasting. I don't know if you have it. You got a 2-finger click on it to copy it properly. So if I were to go to my Xano URL and I would just paste the vault after it like this, so I have my Xano URL and I paste my vault after it, I would go in here and I would get the image that is on my Xano CDN, right? It's stored on my Xano. I can reload this. It will always work. So what I would do is I would copy my Xano URL, copy, and under here we have .path. So I will create a variable and I will call this image underscore URL. I add my Xano URL and I add concat concat. Concat is taking the first text piece and adding the second text piece right after it, creating a new full concatenated merged text piece. So the new value of the concat is image metadata dot path, right? Because that's the path. And then we go on save. And now when I go to stop and debug, I would return my image URL. I reload this, and I will now get the link that I can use to set as the source on my front end for that image URL. And that link can be used forever. In 10 years, people will be able to still use that link if I haven't removed it from the database yet. And here is the link. And now I would go in here, remove my stop and debug, or just hide it for now. I would go to the response, and I would just respond with the image URL. Now I publish this, and I would now take a sip of water and go to my front end and try running this again, and we'll see it horribly fail because we have to adjust it a little bit. We have to simplify it now because we work with an image URL, and the image URL is actually preferred as it is less heavy on the front end. So I go with my image and I go to my source, and I will just, remove the concatenate. I will go to my generate API, I go to data, and I will only return the data, right? Because I only want to set the CDN URL. I don't need to set base64 so that it interprets it as an image, because it's just rendering the image from a URL. This is probably what you're already used to. We just do source will be the URL of the image, right? And if I were to copy that URL and put it in my browser, I would see the same image. So we just have the image element source with the URL coming from the API response. Here you go. And this is how we can do that. We can also do other things where we save this image to local storage, for example, the latest one that the user generated. An example of that would be, I can create a variable called image, right? And I would call this image, and then I would go on my form, right? On my form here, and I would go to the events on submit, and on success of that generate, I would set my image variable to be the response of my API, the data, right? And then I would also add save to local storage as image with the value of the response of my API, right? Here we go. And then I will have this stored as the variable, and then I would go to my variable of image, and I would base this on get from local storage, and the key would be image. Here we go. So now, if I were to generate banana with ice, and I save that image, or generate that image, it will generate that image, and it will save the latest image on local storage, right? And now if I were to reload the page, I should still see the image of the banana because it is stored on local storage, and that may only work in theory. No, it's still in here, so let's look at that. I need to go now to the image, and the image needs to be set not from the API response, but from the image variable. So that is working. So we can also do that. It's not recommended though, because you probably want to store that on your backend so that when the user logs in, they log in with their account, and then it loads the data from the backend where all their generation history is. But I just want to still show you the possibilities that can be done without having, like authentication. You see, the image is reloading, and when I create a new image, for example, like monkey, I generate the image, it is generating. I will see the new image populate in a snap. Oh, wait, there's a typo. Let's see what it does out of it. And I have my monkey. And when I reload the page, the monkey should be still there. Here we go. And then we can also add a button to download the monkey. So I could go inside of the image here, and then I can go very fancy. If I were, for example, I could add a button in here, and I can go on the button, and I can go on click, and I can go to open, I can go to URL, and I can go to URL, and I would bind that URL on my image variable, right? And then when I were to click on here, I would kind of like open that as a monkey, which in the browser would, if I were to do monkey, in the browser would lead to a download. Maybe not in Toddle, but in the browser, just opening the URL would probably lead to a download if I'm correct with that. Otherwise, we would have to make it as an A tag. Okay, maybe I need to do a different approach. How about we reload Toddle? I would probably do it different. I would probably make this an A tag, an anchor tag, a hyperlink, and I were to go on the hyperlink, and I were to add the attribute of href, and I were to turn this into the image URL, and if I were to click on that, and I probably need to work with the attributes to make this downloadable, but you get the idea. I will probably make a separate video on file downloads, because that seems to be a more complex topic, but you get the idea. There are possibilities. But the most important thing I want to stress out is, because every time you generate an image, you are paying money. So you don't want this to be just like guarded in a membership page. You want this endpoint to be an authenticated endpoint. What you want is, whenever the user calls, you need to save a cookie on the front end with the user information, and the user needs to be authenticated through that cookie. You then decode the cookie, get the user ID, and after the image was successfully generated, you charge the user 50 credits for generating the image, or 10, or whatever, however your credit system works. And then you want to deliver the image, and you save it in the backend in their generation history. And then if the user ever runs out of credits, it's not going to generate, and it's going to say, no, we can't generate that. You first need to buy more credits. You want to implement something like this behind a paywall, behind a user account. And you want to authenticate all your endpoints. What I showed you here is just the low-level basic solution for that. But it is great if you want to, this is great. Consider this video for learning, because this is not something I would suggest you should put out there in the market, as it is not secure and it is not monetizable. But this is great to build something, to understand the principles, to learn, and then you can apply the principles that you learned in here in building your monetized version of that. And if you need any help with that, and you want a supportive community, and you want daily office hours, and you want help in setting up everything so that you automatically collect the taxes, and you make sure the credits can refill and all of that, right? To do all the technical setup with Lemon Squeezy, with Paddle, with the credit system, with, protecting endpoints, monetizing that and making sure it's protected and safe and tight. I would love to see you at the NoCode ProCode office hours. We have them daily from Monday to Friday at 9 a.m. PDT. And it's a wonderful supportive community as well. You also get help on the weekends in the forum. We have great courses on Toddle, on Xano, on all kinds of low-code tools in there, but mainly focused on Toddle and Xano and Whist. So if you want to join, go to nocodeprocode.com, and you just, click on Get Full Access Now. You make a little application video. It's just like make a 60-second or 10-second video saying, hey, I'm here, I want to join, just so that we get a feeling for you, and like if it's a good fit for the community, because we want to have a supportive community where everybody feels welcome. But besides that, if you join or not. I just really appreciate you watching my videos. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all your support watching this video, almost 1 hour. It really means the world to me. You don't know how much this means to me, that I have people getting a value out of the things that really interest me and that I really like to talk about. It's just such a great feeling. Thank you so much for being part of that journey. Again, and if you want to be more part of that journey, we have daily office hours as well, and I did my best to make them as supportive as it can, and as affordable as possible. You get a great value. It's less than, I think, $3 a day for hands-on support, courses, daily office hours, help forum, Loom video exchange. You send me your issue, I'll send you the answer as a video. So it's a great value. But regardless if you join or not, tutorials are going to still be on this YouTube channel. We still have daily amazing Toddle content and Xano content. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.